Good morning, boys and girls, or good morning to whoever is listening to the sound of my voice this afternoon. Alright, so I want to actually take my time today to explain this topic, ratio. I've come to understand that this is one of the topics that students usually find very, very difficult, but it's actually very easy. Alright, so first of all, what is ratio? Now, when we are trying to explain ratio, there are key words you have to look out for: comparison and quantities. Comparison and what? Quantities. These are the two things or the two terms we have to try to understand. Now, comparison is gotten from the word compare. Now, to compare simply means you trying to say the differences between A and B. For example, if I want to compare these two cups now, I'm trying to say, what does this have that this does not have? And what does this have that this does not have? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So when I'm comparing, I'm trying to bring out the similarities, the differences between two things. So that is by the way. So when we talk about ratio here, ratio is the comparison of two different quantities of the same kind. Alright? Two different what? Quantities of the same kind. Let's look at two different quantities of the same kind. For example, in our currency, in Nigeria, our currency is what? The naira. But do you know that in this naira, no, not our currency in naira is what? Our currency in Nigeria is what? Naira and kobo. Same kind currency, different quantities, naira and kobo. So when we talk about ratio is just trying to compare two different things, two different words, things that are of the same what? Kind. Now let's say for example now, Ade scored 60 marks, and before I even proceed to the example, and one of the quantities is expressed as a fraction of the other. We know that whenever we talk about ratio, the first thing that comes to our mind is 1:2. 1:2. Now let me remind you that 1:2 is same thing as 1/2. That is something that we should try not to do what? Forget. But let's just look at this example to be able to break down this topic. Alright? Now before I continue, let us understand that ratio is very vast. It has lots of different components. Alright, so we're going to be taking it gradually, step by step. So today we're just going to look at the introductory aspect and then give us some exercises to do. Alright? Now let's look at this. Ade scored 60 marks and Bola scored 90 marks. We can compare their marks in the form of the ratio as shown below. Now, if we want to express their marks in the ratio, we can tell us that Ade's mark is what? 60. Bola's mark is what? 90. So if you want to express ratio of Ade's mark to Bola's mark, we are going to have ratio of Ade's mark to Bola's mark is what? 60:90. Am I complicating? If you want to express the ratio of their mark, Ade 60, Bola 90. So now, and then you now want to express it as a ratio of the marks. What you are going to have, you now say the ratio of Ade's mark to Bola's mark is 60:90, which is same thing as what? 60/90. Let's not forget, 60:90 is same thing as 60 over what? 90. What do? You cancel out. 0 cancel 0. 3 here is 2. 3 here is what? 3. So you have what? 2 over 3. Now in ratio, this ratio of the amount is going to be what? 2:3. In case you don't understand this actual concept, I would advise you to watch the video again now. What we did now is we have not even gone into the main concept. We are just trying to like give us an understanding. Let us just have an understanding of what ratio is all about. In this case now, I was comparing the mark of Ade to the mark of Bola. I was comparing the mark of who? Ade to the mark of what? Bola, by letting us know that Ade scored 60 marks and Bola scored 90 marks. Now we now want to express the ratio of their what? Marks. So this is just what? The first aspect that we are going to be looking at. Now let us quickly look at another example here. Let us look at another example. Example 2. Now, express the ratio of 30 minutes to what? 50 minutes. In their lowest term. Like I said, we've not gone into this properly. Express the ratio of 30 minutes to 50 minutes in their lowest term. One thing that I want us to understand from here that, remember we said ratio is the comparison of two different quantities of the same kind. If you notice, 30 minutes and 50 minutes are different quantities of the same kind. And what is the same kind? Time. Minute is what? Time. Alright? But here, the quantities are what? Different. So if we want to express the ratio of 30 minutes to 50 minutes in their lowest term, of course, when we say lowest term, what we are simply trying to say, when we say lowest term simply means bringing it down to the point that nothing else can divide. If, for example, now they say we should reduce 10 over 15 to the lowest term, what we are going to ask ourselves is, if they say we should do 10 over 15 to the lowest term, what we are going to ask ourselves is what can divide? We know that 5 here is what? 2. 5 here is what? 3. The answer is what? 2 over 3. Now, before I delve into this further, please, for us to be able to understand this ratio, let us know that we have to be conversant with what? Our times table, okay? So now, to the solution of this particular one now, we are going to have that the ratio of 30 minutes to 50 minutes, 30 minutes to what? 15 minutes is equal to what? 30 over what? 50. 0 cancel 0. That is what? 3 over 5, which is same thing as what? 3 is to 5. So we would agree with me that this particular one now, the answer is what? 3 is to 5. But before I continue, let me just get something for a minute. I will come back. So sorry about that break in transmission. I needed to sort out one or two things. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, I was talking about, before we left off where I spoke about reducing to the lowest term. So today on ratio, I believe we must have understood what ratio is all about. It is comparison of quantities of the same kind, different quantities of the same kind, comparing them together. That is what ratio is all about. I would advise us, in the course of this video, you can pause it to write down these things, okay? So today we are going to be looking at expressing ratios in their lowest term. Like I said, ratio has different components, all right? We are going to be doing this every day, all right? So tomorrow we're going to look at the underside of ratio. Alright? So, and then maybe by next tomorrow, we'll move over to another topic. So today we're just looking at the basics, the foundational knowledge of ratio, what ratio is all about. That is what we're looking at today. So, now let's look at the second part, expressing ratios in their lowest term. Before the break, I told us that expressing ratios in their lowest term simply means anytime you talk about lowest term, it means bring it down to the point that nothing else can divide, just like what we did here. But in this case, we are going to look at different units. All right. Now, before I move ahead, I have a special advice for us. Before there are some things we need to learn before we have to come and on our own. Let's go and learn our table of time measure. All right. Let's go and learn our table of time measure. And what I mean, like our table of time measure is 60 seconds make 1 minute, 60 minutes make 1 hour. We need to go and learn those things. Alright, then we also have to learn our table of weight measure. How many kilograms, how many grams make 1 kilogram? How many kilograms make 1 ton? How many centigrams make 1 decigram? All those kind of things. We need to go and do what? Learn them. Now, apart from that too, we also need to go and learn about our kobo and our naira, how many kobo makes 1 naira. These are some things that we need to know, because when you are doing all these exams, or maybe when you are doing all these things, they won't tell you that, they won't tell you how many grams make 1 kilogram. They won't tell you how many kilometers, how many meters make 1 meter. So these are the things you are supposed to be conversant with, alright? So moving on. We express ratios in their lowest terms the same way fractions are expressed in their lowest term. Alright? We express ratios in their lowest terms the same way fractions are expressed in their lowest term. Now, I need you to stay with me. Alright? I believe you must have written this down. I need you to stay with me as I try to break this down a little bit further. Alright? Now, let's look at the first question there. The first question there says, express the ratio of 1 centimeter to 5 meter in their lowest term. Now, the two things you're looking at here is that 1 centimeter is to 5 meters. Now, if you look at this now, you know that centimeters and meters are in the same unit. They are in the same family, alright? But they are different. So now, the first question we're going to ask ourselves is how many centimeters make 1 meter? We all know that 100 centimeters will give us 1 meters. 1 meter rather. So now 5 meters is going to be 100 times 5, because 100 centimeters make 1 meter, which is equals to what? 500 what? Centimeter. The reason why we needed to do this is because we needed to bring down the both of them to be in the same equivalent unit. You know, sometimes when we are solving this thing now, if we go and say, okay, express 1 centimeter as a ratio of 5 meters, you now go and do 1/5. The answer is 1:5. It's extremely wrong. The reason why it's wrong is that the units here are different. So when you have two different units of the same family, the question you have to ask yourself is, which of them is the lesser unit? The one that is the lesser unit, later on you have to convert the higher unit to the what? Lesser unit. For example, in this case now, they gave me 30 minutes and 50 minutes. Minutes and minutes are the same. That was just why I went ahead and solved and got my answer. But in this case now, centimeters and meters are not the same. Alright, in the sense that meters is greater than what? Centimeters. So we have to break it down to the lesser unit. That was why I did 500 times what? 5, which gave me what? 500 what? Centimeters. So now, the question is going to be, express in the lowest term, 1 centimeter is to 500 centimeter. Do you see it now? So now that is centimeter. And that makes it what? Pretty what? Straightforward. So now my answer is going to be what? So since that is the same minute, now it's going to be 1 over what? 500. Which is the same thing as what? 1 is to 500. So this is your answer. 1 centimeter is to 500 centimeter. This is what? Your answer. So you see, that's why I said we need to learn things like this. How many centimeters make 1 meter? How many decimeter make 1 meter? And all those information, we need to learn them very well, because in cases like this, they are always very, they always ask us questions on them. So I believe we must have written it down. So let's proceed to the next question. That's number 2. Okay? Now number 2 says, or the next example here says, express 40 seconds to 2 minutes as a ratio in the simplest term. Exactly the same thing I was saying before. 40 seconds is to what? 2 minutes. 40 seconds is to 2 minutes. Now, just excuse me, let me clarify something and get back to you. So let's proceed. Alright, now so we have, they said we should express 40 seconds is 2 minutes as a ratio in its lowest term. So what you have to do is you have to first of all make both of them the same units. Alright, now they are not the same units. Of course, they belong to the same family, which is what? Time. But now they are not the same unit because we have seconds and minutes. So which is the lesser unit here? Seconds or minutes? Guess. Exactly. Seconds. Okay? Seconds is what? The lesser unit. So you have to make the both of them lesser units. That means it is 2 minutes we are going to change to what? The lesser unit. Of course, and for you to be able to change minutes to seconds, you have to know that how many seconds make 1 minute. I want to hear you. How many seconds make 1 minute? Exactly, 60 seconds. That means you are paying attention. Very good, well done. I love children who pay attention. That's fantastic, okay? So now we have that 60 seconds make what? 1 minute. So now we have 2 minutes. What do? We cross what? Multiply. Which is equals to what? 2 times what? 60. Which is what? 120 seconds. So now we have successfully changed 2 minutes to what? Seconds. So now, the question now is supposed to be, express 40 seconds is to 120 seconds as a ratio in its simplest form. I hope you are following. You know how we got to this point? We started from the beginning. Both of them were not the same, so we have to change it to the lesser unit, which was seconds. From there, we remember that 60 seconds gave us 1 minute. Then we now did 60 and 2 minutes. We now multiplied 60 by 2 minutes. We now got 120 seconds. Okay, so now we have 40 seconds is to 120 seconds. And remember that 40 seconds is the same thing as so we have 40 seconds is what? To 120 seconds, which is the same thing as what? Let's not forget though, 40 seconds is the same thing as 120 what? Seconds. You know, I told you before that these two things are the same thing. This and this are actually the same thing. So what you do now is you do what? 40 over 120 seconds. So what you do now? You do this to the lowest term. 0 cancel 0. 4 here 1. 4 here is what? Guess. 4 in 4, 1. 4 in 12, 3. Abi, which is equals to what? 1 over 3, which is the same thing as what? 1 is to 3. So, as a ratio in its lowest term, this is our answer. I hope you understood it. Now let me go back and explain what I did. I said the same thing is applicable to this place. They are not the same units. So in expressing it to the lowest term, what is mostly important here? The key thing we have to know. We have to know all these things like I said before, how many seconds make 1 minute, how many minutes make 1 hour, how many centimeters make 1 meter, how many meters make 1 kilometer, and how, you know, those kind of necessary information. These are the things we need to know. Alright, because it makes it very easy for us, alright, to be able to do. Okay, so moving on, we have this at this point. I believe you understand it. Let's go through it again. 60 seconds. We were to express 40 seconds as a ratio of 2 minutes in its lowest term. We can't just be doing 4/2 because seconds and minutes are not the same unit, okay? So we have 60 seconds is 1 minute. Then we have in 2 minutes is going to be 2 times 60, which gave us 120 seconds. I know somebody will ask me, Mr. Man, how do you get 60 seconds make 1 minute? Me, I will ask you, how many seconds make 1 minute? I believe now you know. Okay, so moving on. We have that the equivalent of 2 minutes in seconds is 120. Yes, so from here now, we now have this 40 seconds to 2 minutes is the same thing as this is to this. Yes, it's the same thing. So what we do now is that we now do 40 over 120. Alright, which is the same thing as 40 is to 120. We just break it down to the lowest term. Alright, so let's look at the next exam, the last but not the least example here. I believe I can clean this. In case we've not written this thing down, in case, like I always say, when we want to write it down, we can pause the video. We can pause the video and then write it down so we can be able to understand it. So this example here now says, express 14 kobo to 21 kobo as a ratio in its simplest form. Now, we have 14 kobo is to what? 21 kobo. Now, the difference between this and what? This is that already both of them are in the same unit. Just like that first one we did, where we had minutes and minutes. I believe you wrote it down. Alright? So now we have 14 kobo is to 21 seconds. What we are expected to do at this point is that we are going to just go straight forward and solve because they are in kobo and kobo. Unlike here that it is centimeters and meters, we certainly mean that we are going to reduce both of them to the simplest form. Alright, which means we are going to reduce this one to the simplest form of this before we divide. And then we are going to 2 minutes, we are going to change it to seconds before we can be able to divide, so that they can be in uniform unit. So they can be in what? Uniform unit, like centimeter, centimeter, seconds, seconds. Do you understand? It's this particular two things. But in this case now, we are not changing any of these to this because already I think we have something like expressed in the simplest form. 14 kobo is to 2 naira. We'll now come and be doing 2 times 100, which is equal to what? 200 kobo. Then we'll now have 14 kobo is to what? 200 what? Kobo. But as both of them are not in the same unit, as both of them are not in the same units here now, we can now start doing what? Solving. But it's not like that. So they've made it easy for us. They've given us the straightforward questions. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have 14 over 21. Alright? Which is the same thing as 14 is 21. But let's ask ourselves, can anything divide this and this? Can anything divide? 2 can divide this, can 2 divide this? No. 3 can divide this, can 3 divide this? No. So our answer is 14 is to 21. Answer. Straightforward. Smart. They are all wonderful children. So please, let's not forget, I'm going to be doing this video every day so that we can be understanding. But before you switch off from watching this video, I want you to just click subscribe. Under that video, just click subscribe so that anytime I post new video, you'll just be getting the notification. Mr. Emmanuel has posted new mathematics video for today. So you just click on it and then be able to do what? Subscribe and post to the particular thing. So this particular one now, we're having what? 14 over what? 21 for this actual one now. So that is how we're going to be doing it from now henceforth. And guess what? And also, if there are topics that you don't understand, you can always comment, put it down in the comment section so that we'll always work on it and update you with the latest and best way to able to solve questions like this. So tomorrow, make sure I write these examples down. I'm going to send you some questions. Alright, for us to be able to do. Okay, I think I should be able to do that now. So I'm going to give us some work to do, but let us pause it and write this down. Alright? Then after writing this down, you can now play the video and see the assignment which I'm going to write. I'll see you in our next class. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you.